Hi everyone, I'm 921 and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you the 5 best tips to get better at the latest installment of Call of Duty series Modern Warfare 2. The tips are universal, so feel free to use them on all the game modes. Let's begin. Tip number 1. Match your fighting style and loadout. Don't bring a shotgun to a sniper fight and don't bring a sniper rifle to a shotgun fight. It may seem like an obvious concept, but players constantly lose situational awareness during a firefight. It's especially more common when using guns equipped for short ranges at medium to long ranges. Both awareness and self-control are needed by the player to know which shots are good to take and when it's time to reposition for a better firing distance. It's important you don't force yourself to play a weapon that doesn't match your natural playstyle. If you feel better sitting back and picking off people from the long-range positions, then do that. Don't feel pressure to push up towards the opposition if your loadout just isn't equipped to do so. However, if you have a TTV after your name and like to be in the soup to boost the subscriber count, equip a gun that's good for close action like an SMG or shotgun. Whichever gun you choose, make sure you optimize your distance to your target before you engage so you maximize your damage, minimize your ammo burn rate. A good rule of thumb, shotguns, SMGs, handguns, and more are optimal for short range fights like in buildings. Assault rifles, battle rifles, and LMGs are optimal for medium range fights such as streets. Marksman rifles and sniper rifles are optimal for long range fights over wide open areas such as fields or rooftops overlooking streets. Try to put yourself in a position on the map that you will meet enemies in the battlegrounds that suit your weapon choice. And wait, before you start typing your comment, of course this also depends on the equipped attachments. You can equip some assault rifles with scopes for long distance that can work well. It's not a hard rule, just know your weapon and attachments are best suited for it, use them to your advantage. Now you may be asking yourself, does my playstyle dictate my weapon or does my weapon dictate my playstyle? I would argue that your natural playstyle should dictate your weapon choice. It's way easier to change your weapon than to change your psychology. The exception to this is when you're trying to level up and unlock weapons. When leveling up, I would recommend you exercise self-awareness and control when selecting your fights, as the weapon you are leveling might not suit your natural playstyle. Also, one last point. If you have the overkill perk where you can run 2 primary weapons, one of my favorite combos is an assault rifle and a shotgun. This allows you to cover short, medium, and long scenarios. I will usually run in the open spaces with the assault rifle and switch to a shotgun while moving through the buildings in small spaces. Then once I'm exiting the building, I'll switch back to the assault rifle. Make sure you're also doing this when playing sniper with your secondary. Move through the buildings and small streets with a handgun, and travel to your desired position. Once you arrive, switch back to your sniper rifle. Tip number 2, use your minimap. Players often get too focused on the main screen. Forget the minimap on the top left corner. If your team has a UAV up, the minimap can be a wealth of information on enemy positions. Get into the habit of glancing at the minimap before charging into any area. Information about enemies hiding in buildings and rooftops will allow you to draw on them before they can draw on you. Remember that the power of UAV information goes both ways. Make sure someone on your team is carrying an AA launcher to take down an enemy UAV when safe to do so. If you find no one on your team is taking down enemy UAVs or counter UAVs, be that person. Load out with an AA launcher as a secondary weapon and help your team if no one else is. Tip number 3, resupply. There's nothing worse than being pinned down in a prolonged firefight and running low on ammo and having to use your secondary to cover a retreat. Most of the time, it doesn't end very well. To get around this, I recommend resupplying ammo boxes anytime you can safely do so. For example, every time I spawn, the first thing I do is look for an ammo crate close by, so I get as much ammo as I can before heading to the battle. It may require a little bit of a detour through the map, but it's useful proactive practice to ensure that you are fully supplied for your team. Tip number 4, get mounted. I think mounting is a powerful yet underused feature in Modern Warfare 2. Mounting allows you to stabilize your gun on a surface to minimize recoil and provide additional cover. Also, mounting into doorways will allow you to peek and fire around corners while maintaining better coverage from incoming fire. Now at first I found it awkward to use mount on the keyboard because the default key binding is T, and I have old man hands that can't stretch that far. But now I have bound it to one of the thumb buttons on my mouse so I can easily access it. To fully use this feature, incorporate mounting into your movements as you move through the map. It will ensure you get better cover and weapon accuracy than your enemy. Speaking of movement, what a perfect segue into our last tip. Tip number 5, movement really matters. Movement is 98% of what you do in Call of Duty, and that's why it's the most important thing to work and improve on. Getting position separates a really great player from an average player.
The first key skill you need to learn is to ADS around corners. That means aim down the sight. You should be aiming down the sight of every corner you take in this game. If you are close to the front line, there's a very good chance there is an enemy around the corner, and you will always have a better chance of survival if you have your sights up before they do. If you need to move towards the enemy in the action, never run straight up a long street. It'll make you an easy target for snipers. It is always better to run perpendicular to the road and make your way up the street through the buildings that line the road. If none of the rooms are open, just try and keep your back at it and use whatever cover you can. Use doors to your advantage. Whenever possible, use a door as back coverage when peeking corners. Always check the side that doesn't have the door first. This goes for any object on the map too, so dumpsters, vehicles, anything that's in the way that you can put your back on and look towards first. Don't be afraid to fall back and recover. If you've been hit multiple times, it's always better for you to run into cover, heal up, regroup, and reposition. Also, if you feel pinned by a sniper scope, don't be afraid to wait it out. Snipers get bored and they will usually move their focus elsewhere if they don't see movement within about 10 seconds. So what do you think? Are there any more tips on leaving out? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and please hit subscribe, thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. You can also follow me on other social media platforms too.